there's a dragon. Dragons are everywhere. Flying dragons everywhere. The school is it's gothic, it's mystical. It's a good place for kids. They have added on, this was my second visit there since my first. The second visit they've added on, and the area that they've added on is more modern. It doesn't necessarily include all of the Harry Potter theme. There's more pictures. More classrooms. All classrooms before had a theme. So for instance, ELA, Miss Kim Bearden classroom was Alice in Wonderland at the beginning. And now each one has a theme, and most of them are kind of old looking, antiquated, but it's clean, it's pleasant. Like I said, it's a good place for students. There's Miss Wright with Ron Clark himself. In the lower left-hand corner, you will see the wheel, and the wheel is significant to the Ron Clark Academy because this is what students spend, and it will determine what house they in the house system. So the experience. RCA is more than just a school visit. It's a journey of inspiration. The Ron Clark Academy shows how education can be lively, creative, and deeply impactful. It challenges teachers to think creatively and passionately about their own teaching methods. RCA demonstrates that learning can be both serious and fun, setting a powerful example of what education can achieve when it embraces innovation and dedication. And our teachers got to experience this. Lessons full of energy. Teachers use music, dancing, and games to make subjects like math, science, literacy, and history exciting. Imagine learning fractions through a dance or acting out historic battle, or using the latest song to learn about synonyms and antonyms. Passionate educators. The educators are incredibly enthusiastic. They use stories, dramatic arts, and lively presentations to keep students hooked and eager to learn. Connecting lessons to real life. Teachers make sure that what students learn is connected to real-world situations. Students see why their lessons matter and how they apply outside the classroom. Engaging classroom environment. And this part I cannot say enough. So if you ever get a chance or the opportunity, go to YouTube, just search for Ron Clark Academy, and you will see all that goes on there.
Maybe they won't have to. Maybe they can just walk right in your school and see it happen.
Coming real soon.
There you
go. Near you. This makes students feel like they're stepping into a different world every time they enter a classroom. Positive and engaging atmosphere. From the moment you walk in, you feel the positive vibes. Teachers and students treat each other with respect and kindness, creating a welcome and motivated environment. As soon as you step foot on the campus, every day, students hear music. As soon as they step foot on the campus, there's music. And I don't mean jazz, and I don't mean soft or classical music. There's actually music that they enjoy, that they're familiar with when they step foot on the campus. Strong teacher-student relationships. Teachers at RCA spend time getting to know each student personally, helping them understand what each of their students need and how to make learning effective and fun for them. It empowers students. I'm going to tell a quick story about my first time there. There was a 5th grader. Anybody that know anything about Ron Clark Academy, one of the things that students have to do is they have to take a test to be accepted to the school. And one of those tests include knowing your multiplication tables. And so what that looks like is they have to call Mr. Clark, and he doesn't say hello. He says 5 times 5, and you have to tell him what 5 times 5 is. You do not pass your test until you receive all 100% out of 50 questions, and it's time. And if you miss one, he hangs the phone up. So with that being said, the students want to be there. So there was a 5th grade girl who was getting ready to take a test, and she said, I have to pass this test. And she was totally distraught. And I said, well, what happened if you don't? You're gonna be okay. Are you passing your other classes? She was like, yes, ma'am, but I have to pass this test. She said, it's Mr. Clark's test. I have to pass. I said, okay, come on, baby, let's go. You're going to pass this test. And then I'm like, well, what happened? She said, well, if I don't pass this test, I fail the class. I said, well, what's failing? And she said, a 70. I said, a 70. Now, keep in mind, this is 5th grade, but he teaches on an 8th grade level. The standards that they're learning are 8th grade. And she said, I'm failing at a 70%. So the expectation and the rigor is there, but it's there from the beginning. From day one, this is the expectation. So student-driven projects. Students at RCA are given a lot of freedom and responsibility in their projects. This helps them become more independent and confident. Focus on public speaking. Our state emphasizes public speaking. Students regularly present their work, debate topics, and perform in front of their peers, which builds their confidence and communication skills. The students were eager to engage visiting teachers to discuss their learning and experience. Students sat with us during their lunchtime, which was the same as our lunch. All of them were very articulate. They, stuck their hand out, my name is so-and-so, it's nice to meet you. They greeted us, they led the assemblies, everything was student-centered, student-led. Leadership skill. The school's approach encouraged students to lead by example, take initiative, and work well with others, preparing them to be future leaders. I also want to make mention that one of the things that impressed me was in the classroom, students, they didn't raise their hand. When they wanted to answer anything, they stood up and they gave the answer. There was no raising hand. The expectation was you stand up, you make eye contact with your audience or whoever you're talking to, and you respond. And you saw that consistently in every classroom. So what, now what that we've been. Run Clock Academy strategies and best practices will be presented to the staff and implemented. Operation Transformation. In the house system at PBJH Freshman Academy is already being utilized to build a sense of pride, camaraderie, and ownership among our students. Operation Transformation. At James Matthews Elementary, they will implement 5 houses. These 5 houses are also the same houses that are implemented at Pine Bluff Junior High Freshman Academy and will be implemented at the 7th and 8th grade campus this upcoming school year. Also during phase 1, house systems will be developed. Staff as well as students will be placed. Purchase of house merchandise and information, pamphlets sent out to stakeholders. Once again, it will be implemented at James Matthews Elementary as well as the 7th and 8th grade campus at Pine Bluff Junior High. Phase 2, all students and staff will have a house shirt. House banners will be placed throughout the school. House spelling bee will be started. House Amazing Shake competition started. For you, go to YouTube. If you will search Amazing Shake competition to learn more information. This competition is not only based in Atlanta, it is internationally. As a matter of fact, the winner of last year's or this year's competition was from somewhere in Europe. I can't remember the exact country, but was a European. An American did not win. It's that big of a thing, that big of a deal. Students learn so much and have to do so much in the competition. Next, in closing, we have a few testimonials from some of the teachers that attended the academy.
they say the aliens are coming. So that was like his thing at the beginning of his speech.
Attending Arts today was an hour-long week. There are many great takeaways, but here are a few. The most important thing that I learned was to teach to the highest student and engage all the others. And that helps bring them up. Also, it is the small things, the small gestures. Thank you for the opportunity to play at the end of the classroom when they need like this can significantly uplift and motivate our students.
Months before, I had never heard you for the opportunity to, first, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to attend RCA. Before, like a couple months before, I had never heard of Ron Clark. When I did my research, and then when I got there, it was everything that I could have thought for. There were so many takeaways. The biggest takeaway for me was to teach to the highest and engage everyone else. And that will eventually get even the lower babies will come up. If you walk in my class this year and see students standing in the chair, just know it's a method behind the madness. Again, thanks for the opportunity. Amazing, amazing experience.
Hello, I am Alicia Jones, and I am the instructional facilitator at James Matthews Elementary School. I recently had the pleasure of attending a professional development at the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia. During this two-day event, I learned many strategies that I believe will increase our students' literacy and vocabulary skills. I also took away many classroom management strategies and methods to make classrooms fun and inclusive for all of our learners. I believe I can use those strategies to improve teacher efficacy, which will ultimately impact our student achievement. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tamika Wright. I am the proud principal of James Matthews Elementary. I first want to take this opportunity to thank the Bluff School District for allowing my team and I to visit the Ron Clark Academy. We had such an amazing time. It was an experience that I'll never forget. I took away so many innovative and engaging ways to make learning relatable, sustainable, and enjoyable. So, for example, you walk into a math classroom and you see students writing their problems on a blown up balloon. You see the teacher walking around the classroom, checking students' work. And as they get the correct answer, they get to sit on the balloon and pop it. How fun is that? How engaging would that be, and how would that look for your class? Or picture this, you walk into a classroom and you hear music playing, but the teacher is giving the lesson using hand signals only. So as a student, you have to be engaged to even know what the lesson is about, and you have to be engaged to even keep up with the lesson. Or what about walking into a classroom and you see students creating lyrics to the latest song about direct and indirect objects. All the while, they're walking on top of desks, they're hyping each other up, they're encouraging each other, but they're learning. And when you talk to them, they're able to articulate exactly what the learning was supposed to be. How amazing would that be in our classrooms? I was so excited. So, these are just a few things that we saw, and some of the things that we want to incorporate at James Matthews. But one big thing that we want to incorporate this year is the implementation of the house systems. Now, the house systems are, they're from the house systems that are in your Harry Potter series. And so, we'll have 5 houses. We have 10 student ambassadors this year for the 24-25 school year. And so, on the first day of school, the students will come in, they'll spin this wheel, and they will be placed in a they'll be in the same house. So once they're placed in the house, that's it. That's their house, block. And so our ambassadors will be the leaders of those houses. And so in the upcoming weeks, we're going to have an ambassador workshop where we teach them about the house systems. We teach them things like how to properly shake hands, how to speak with someone using direct eye contact, how to greet visitors when they come to the building and give tours, but most importantly, how to engage in meaningful conversation with their peers and with adults. Some more things that we want to incorporate this year will be engaging lessons. So for example, using cheers and chants to incorporate in the lessons. Having students stand and present their answers while making eye contact with everyone in the room, making sure that everyone is
Ms. Wright asked me to fast forward.
You got anything else you need to add?
Well, I did, at the end, I did, gonna tie this in, the Ron Clark Academy into the professional development that we're gonna be receiving in a few weeks, capturing kids' hearts. It's one and the same. If you have those systems in place, showing real love to your school community, having those authentic relationships, and having those high expectations, I mean, you have it. So those two things are like they marry each other. So that was it.
Okay, thank you.
We have one last testimony.
First, let me say thank you to the Pine Bluff School District for allowing us to take a team of teachers to the Ron Clark Academy experience. I think every teacher should have the opportunity to be able to go and witness some of the best practices that you will see in education. Some of the things that stood out to me were the fact that we are ranked 41st in the world in education, and we have an opportunity as educators to change that, to improve that, especially right in Pine Bluff. Another thing that stood out was their house system and how it gives the students opportunity to belong to something and to take ownership. We've seen some of that with our own students at Pine Bluff Junior High with the implementation of Operation Transformation, which is our house system that we've implemented and are using. We will be using some of their practices to get parents involved more and to get our school culture and climate where we want it to be, where students can be successful.
Are there any questions?
Hi,
Go ahead, Pat, go ahead.
I had a question. When you talked about the activities and the paintings on the walls and the music, do you know if they've done any kind of research to find out like which one of those entities actually has the largest impact on the success of those students? You know, like if you took one away, what would it change? Versus, you know, do you need them all together? Do they have to all be there, or can you not have one?
Oh, best bang for your buck. What's the
I
best?
do not know, but what I will do is I'll ask Mr. Clark himself that. That's a good question.
Then another question I had was, how do you go about choosing the members of the house?
They spin the wheel, and
So
wherever
it's
they
just
land,
random.
it's random.
So no grade points involved or anything.
I will
Like-
add that each house has a characteristic that goes with the house, and you'll be surprised how many kids actually end up matching up with some of their weaknesses, and it actually helps them to grow within the school system. And also, the students that Ron Clark target are some of the same type of students we have in Pine Bluff.
And clarify, at the elementary level, and what at your level too, if they're in kindergarten, they're gonna be in a house with somebody in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth grade. I mean, they're all in the house.
Yeah.
So they grow together, they have mentors, so seventh, eighth, and ninth, they're all in the same house. Yeah.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I think it's the same concept like when you go to college and fraternities.
Yes.
You know, it's just
And
just
then
unfair, but
they do things throughout the day to to where they earn points for their house. And so, every 9 weeks, we pick a house winner based on the amount of points. And it all ties into our stripes. And so it all works.
Last year I got to be a judge in some of their competitions for their houses, so it was fun.
So my question is, the teachers that went to the academy this year, is there a follow-up, or is that, because I don't know much about the schedule or how it works and how those people are selected and.
So basically, those individuals are members of our leadership team already. And so those are what we call our, six, what is it?
Essential six.
It's our six, so it's almost like our dream team. So whenever we have any ideas or things that we wanna do or bring forth to the staff, those are the ones that's going to root us on and say, hey, yeah, let's do it, because they're closer to the staff than per se the administrators, so they can get the staff on board.
So, and I see you all as kind of the ambassadors going out, finding it, but how do we expand that to the remaining teachers so that, there's a cohort every year?
So next year, we send 2 more schools.
Okay.
But those that go are being responsible for training.
Right.
Trainer.
And how many typically need to go, about 5 or 6?
No.
However
He
many.
said no.
However many we send.
This year was based on funding and the team, we were trying to, what we were funding.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to get at, how much does it cost to send a team to?
It was a little bit.
Okay.
And we paid for it out of federal money. It was our school improvement grant money that we actually had expiring funds too that needed to be spent, and so we were able to use that. And so that's one of the things that Ms. Smith and the building principals were gonna talk about budgeting that. So I can probably give you an update on how we wanna budget, who will get to go for the next year.
How long?
2 days.
2
2 days.
And I also would like to mention the fact, and they can add it, that very few PDs that I have attended as an educator for over 20 years were those students like my students. That means the demographics, the socioeconomics. Very few PDs have applied to my students. Those students, they're my students. They're students that I see every day. They have less than 2% of affluent students there in Atlanta. So those students are our students. So, like I said, you provided our teachers the opportunity to dream and to hope.
And if I will ask Susan Barbie, if there's and I don't know how this works, talk to Jane about a contingency plan, so when we have different budget areas where we have excess funds that could be moved, can we start thinking about a plan to kind of create our pot, so we can make sure that we have the funding necessary to send more of those teachers?
Absolutely.
I think that's the thing, and I think going forward, we'll be talking about that. We try to fund some of these other initiatives, if those funds are available, and I think that's what's gonna all be going forward, so I just wanna make it formalized.
And I think that's something when we talk about the budget, that'll be specific things that we can talk about, where we're gonna put that in there. Absolutely, it's a good idea. So thank you, team, for sharing. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm impatient.
Yes, you are.
I'm really excited, trying to keep myself in my seat. But learning should be fun. Like I enjoyed this entire presentation. Miss Wright know me well, so if any of you all need me to go out and get some balloons, to pop or anything, I'm overly excited about this. One other thing that I would like to add, if it's okay, is there some way we could figure out cursive writing for our students in the midst of this? Because one thing that I did, that has come to my attention, there's quite a few of our students, even in the upper grade levels, that do not know how to sign their names.
Sure.
They may be AB students, but they cannot sign their names. So I've been trying to figure out a way to see if we can get that back in the curriculum, or even working outside of school. I taught my son how to write in cursive at home. because he didn't know how to do it. And like I said, even with the moving on ceremony, a lot of times I get the children out and, we be communicating with one another, and I'm like, hey, sign your name, for me. And a lot of those students that I spoke with cannot sign their names, and that's very important.
So I'll say, there's a standard, by law, by state standard, we have to teach cursive writing, by 3rd grade. And so we do not have, like, our handwriting curriculum, like 95% just talks about specific ways. And so that is something that, Ms. Pitts, our dyslexia supervisor, or dyslexia specialist, and Ms. Rawls have gotten together to look at what a good curriculum would be, on how to teach handwriting. And interestingly enough, our Take Flight curriculum that we use for our dyslexia, our students with characteristics of dyslexia, has a very good scripted way of how to print and how to do cursive. And so we're looking at using some of that at our elementary when we're teaching that, but there has not been a specific plan on a certain curriculum, because they'll just have handwriting curriculum like that as much anymore, like they used to in the past. We are working on that. The other thing though is some of the things that have changed as to why, like, I know that at some time I had teachers that required me to write in cursive, and that's not necessarily been a requirement anymore. We teach it, but we don't require it anymore. And so those are things and conversations that we can have at the building level with principals about that, especially at the elementary. Yeah. Thanks.
I just got one little thing I'm gonna let you know. So I enjoyed the whole presentation as well, because like I'm a Harry Potter fan. So the only thing I would like to add or to maybe recommend, could it be possible for us to add to our summer reading list some of the Harry Potter books, or if there was a way we could, like, maybe because they're not elementary books, if we could kind of tweak or summarize some of the more mature books down to an elementary level, so when they come in, they know what this is, because like a lot of kids don't know or have the privilege of watching movies or reading the books.
Good idea.
Does it have to be the Harry Potter?
It kind of goes with the.
So ours goes with the Transformers.
So I will say that he did reference that they were trying to move more away from being recognized as Harry Potter stuff, because, some parents struggle with that.
Yep.
And so that's why Operation Transformation started from the Transformers, which transform. And so, when you look at the names of the houses, the names actually come from the 12 primes, like Optimus Prime, all them, so there were actually more. So we pulled those names, tied characteristics with them, and that's how we built the system.
And technically, when they say it's Harry Potter, it's just, that was the first time that we, like, it was, sensationalized that when you go to a school, you have houses, and so that's where that came from. So yeah, you can name the houses, whatever. I've been to, well, Mark Tree is a district in Northeast Arkansas that was one of them that did really big on that. And their houses first started just by colors. They were the red house, the blue house, the yellow house, and then they started getting more thematic with it the more they tried it. But yeah, so it's just different ways that we can do it. So yeah. Good question.
Thank you all.
No, thank you. So that's all for my superintendent's report. I didn't have to report so much, because I have good people to do that. And I will say, I went back and looked at smart data because it is accessible right here. The reason why you don't have Pine Bluff High on the chart, because there were no referrals reported for Pine Bluff High School this school year as far as bullying. There were other discipline referrals, but not bullying, so that's why they're not on the chart. And the next thing is just new business. And so the first item that you have in new business is the approval to petition for transfer. There's 3 families. One is a family, the first one, I'm not sure exactly how it is, but there's 3 families. One is wanting to transfer to Woodlawn. And when I say transfer, they missed school choice deadline, or they didn't have, or their child did not get accepted for school choice. So they're petitioning the board, and remember, this is the law that says if we don't agree, then they go to the state board and things like that. But I will say, this student still might not get accepted by this district because they didn't accept them through school choice. So if they didn't accept them through school choice, it may be because of the deadline, or maybe because that they were already at capacity. The next one is a kindergarten student for Sheridan, and if you notice the address, they live closer to Sheridan, and so that was one of the reasons as well. The last one, I called because I was wondering why, because this student was wanting to transfer to Watson Chapel, and it was because of friends. Most of the students' friends have now, are at Chapel, and that's why the parent said that. So these are the 3 students that are doing transfer. I did not speak to the one in Sheridan, but the one that was going to Sheridan, but I spoke to the Woodlawn and the Watson Chapel parent.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the petition for transfer of students.
Second.
Move properly second, or ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it.
So the next item for approval, and I'm going to go over them because I'd like, they're the memorandum of understanding through Arkansas River Education Co-op, and so I'm gonna go through each one of them, and if you agree with that, then we'll just adopt them all at once. And so, so Arkansas River Co-op is our educational cooperative, and so the first one that you see is a behavior support services. This was a new service that they provided last school year, and it's a consortium. And so that means that districts come together. So the co-op has hired a behavior specialist that supports the districts within, so that behavior specialist can support us in different ways. And we used her last year. She comes in and does observations of students to help give teacher recommendations on how to do different things. She conferences with the principal, and so this is a consortium that I want to continue to do. And so that's the first one that you see, the behavior support services. Again, the cost is not over the threshold, but because it's to Arkansas River, and Arkansas River, the total cost that we pay them will be over the threshold, so that's why I'm coming to you with board permission on that one. The next one that you see is the Facility Support Consortium. You're familiar with this. This is Chad Davidson. When he's our facilities person that helps us with our master plan and things like that. So instead of hiring someone, we do the consortium through the co-op because it's cheaper to do it that way. And of course his is definitely under the threshold, but it's still part of Arkansas River. The next MOU that you're gonna see, it's called the Early Childhood Special Education Services. And this is something that is very common for the co-ops to do across the state. What they do is they serve what's required by law, that the district serves their students that prior to kindergarten for early childhood services that might have special needs. So the co-op provides that for us, and so that's what you'll see in this MOU. And so if you look, and the way that's determined on page 4 of that MOU, that's what it is, the money that it costs. It's a fee. So the state sends the district money to provide services for early childhood special education. It's a pass-through, and so we take that money and send that money to the co-op to provide those services for us. But sometimes there is also an additional per child fee based on our child count from December 1, because right now we don't know how many students that is at the time, and so that will come up once the students are actually identified. The next MOU that you see is for our K-8 Virtual Academy Consortium. This was a positive for us. We did this last year, and I'm not sure if you guys, if I explained this in the past, but remember when we had virtual learning and certain districts had virtual learning academies, a lot of our districts in this area stopped doing a virtual learning, like you all had to come in person. And so we decided, we had several students that met the criteria to continue to have virtual learning, and so we kept a virtual learning academy. Well, the co-op runs that, and Ms. Rose Smith is our contact person for the district. But what this helped us with is by us having this and having these seats, we actually gained choice students from other districts because we offered this opportunity. So they chose to our district to be a virtual student because we offered it. And so that was a positive. So I'm requesting that we continue to have 40 seats for our students. Right now, I think we have a little over 30 enrolled. So this leaves an opportunity for a few more if we needed that. And this is through, it's just 8th grade though, K-8. The last one that I had on there is the Professional Development Consortium, and this is for our teachers, our administrators, and you see that it's a cost per how many teachers are in the district, and so that's what we pay as a district to be part of the co-op. And so the one that is not in here, there's two that I did not include that we usually work with the co-op, and it's for our academies, the Flex, the Focus, and the Explore Academy. You know, we purchased those ALE those seats, and right now the number that was last year's number is not a number that I agree with, the amount of seats that we purchased. We had too many, and I want to reduce that number, but I haven't had a chance to meet with Ms. Swan again about that number, and so I did not put that before you, but you'll see that come in the next board meeting. We'll do an MOU for those academies. The other one is for HIPPY. We have the HIPPY program in our county, and it's a huge HIPPY program, but I just had a question about some of the numbers in the MOU, and I just haven't had an opportunity to talk to the director about it, so I did not want to bring it to you without knowing the answers for that. So at this time, I'm just asking that you approve the MOUs for these 5 consortiums with Arkansas River.
All right, this time I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 5 MOUs, behavior support, facility support, early childhood, special education services, K-8 virtual academy consortium, and professional development consortium, Arkansas River Education Services MOU.
So,
Been moved and properly seconded, ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item for approval are the special services MOU, and so I'm gonna start with the one that we tabled last month. So in your packet, you're gonna see Pine Bluff Psychological Associations. Remember, it was a 5% increase, and they said it was a 5% increase just because of costs and things like that. So it was questions, what does that increase actually look like? And so on the last page, I've included how it kind of went up for each area. So what we use them for, our students that need to be tested for special services, we use Pine Bluff Psychological Association to test them. There are other services available, but they're in Little Rock. And then we also have Easter seals, those are things, so since the last board meeting, Ms. Boyce and I, we conferenced, and she's actually called other places that could provide services. This one is the easiest one to get here, the quickest, they have more people that can provide it, it's also in Pine Bluff, and like if you were using Easter seals, you have to get on their schedule because they provide a lot of services across the whole state. So this is still based on even the 5% raise or 5% increase per test or per piece. This is still a recommendation. But I'll pause here just in case you had any questions about that before I move to the next one, because I don't want to.
So the numbers on, okay, I see it. At first I didn't see 24, 25, it was reversed. Because I'm trying to figure out why the numbers were lower if there was a 5% increase, but I see the difference now.
I just wrote what last year it was on last year's bill, because I didn't have that to compare for you guys last month, so there it is now. The next special services in MOU that you have is progressive therapy. We use progressive therapy to provide speech, occupational therapy, and physical therapy. We have a lot of students that need those services, and we do have one speech teacher in the district. We are currently actively seeking speech therapists, occupational therapists, and physical therapists. If we could hire those for the district, we would. At this time, there are no applicants, and even people that we've asked are not doing it. We do use progressive therapy, but I want to say it is a large bill. It's one that we've talked about in board meetings before, and so as part of that, that's something that Ms. Boyce and I have really met with them about, because they were charging for different things, especially travel. And so after talking with them this school year, I put a note on the MOU. So there is a raise in the cost per treatment hour. So last year we paid $105 per treatment hour per student, and now it's raised to $114 per treatment hour. However, there will no longer be a $65 travel fee on that. We're only gonna pay for the therapy hour. We're not paying for travel. And so so I still think that would be much better for us. In fact, I believe you're gonna see a reduction in the cost this year, even though that it went up for treatment hourly. The last one that you see, now that we are increasing, Archford Education Service Cooperative, that's in Plummerville, but they provide a day treatment service. And so we have 10 students that still qualify for day treatment. So we put them on the bus and bus them there, but they provide the education. And so they have a set rate and a set fee. Last year we had 6 students. This year we have added 4 more students. 3 are coming in from Homebound. Homebound is the most restrictive environment. Day treatment would be a step of least restrictive, and then of course we would have other ways. So we're trying to get them back into the least restrictive environment. So we have 3 that are coming from Homebound, and we have 1 that's coming from DYS, Division of Youth Services, and so that's why we need to increase the seats to 4 more.
Got a question. You say you bus the students, how far is it away?
Go ahead, Ms. Boyce.
They have bus to Little Rock, North Little Rock, Horizon. They go in the morning, leave at 6, they come back by 4:30, something.
We also put additional aides on the bus for support, and with this amount of students we're gonna add another aide as well. So those are the 3 special services MOUs for tonight.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the special services MOU for Pine Bluff Psychological Associates, Progressive Therapy, and Archford Education Cooperative Non-Traditional Learning Program.
So moved.
Second.
The move properly second, ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item for approval of purchase, the first one that you'll see is the Smart Data Dashboard, and that's what we talked about earlier with the reports and how we do it. And so for our district to utilize Smart Data Dashboard, it's a $35,000 fee for the software.
And what is Smart Data?
Smart Data is where it pulls our student information and can create those reports that we look at for students that are at risk. It's the bullying report that I showed you today. It has every student that their information is entered into eSchool. We use that for our student intervention teams. We pull that data weekly and look at students. So if they're at risk, meaning, so are they failing? Are they not coming to school? Do they have a large number? So it prioritizes the students so that it'll be an easier way to look and say, have we checked on this student? Different things like that.
Is this a yearly fee or?
Right now it is, yes, sir.
Okay.
An annual.
Alright.
It's not one that we've paid in the past. We've had it now for 2 years for free from the state, but this is the first year we're going to have to pay for it. And we can pay for it out of, we do not pay for it out of operating. We'll be paying for it out of other funds, ESSER funds, actually. You want to do that one by itself, or you want me to keep going?
Yeah, I'll do that. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the Smart Data Dashboard.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item are curriculum resources, and so I'll go through each one of them. I kind of talked about it earlier, what we use them for, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention for Renaissance. For this year, we're gonna spend $95,000, and that is to provide the online platform for Accelerated Reader at all campuses, the Mayan subscription, which gives all the over hundreds of thousands of books for students to read, and then they also, at the secondary level, they have another version of Mayan that is like news articles and different research articles that they can use. That's Renaissance. The next one, McGraw-Hill, that's our social studies quote, and if you look through that, you're gonna see, and these are quotes, but they're accurate as far as our student numbers and things like that right now. And so you're gonna see that we're purchasing kindergarten through, go back. Yes, kindergarten, first, second, third, and fourth grade. And we have 2 days of professional development, $62,736.35.
1 year?
No, this is a 1-year subscription because And I asked Ms. Rawls that. There was an opportunity to buy 1 year or a 3-year, but since we've never used it before, she was concerned. And they just wrote it according to the standards, so she just wanted to make sure that, it was everything we needed before we got deeper in, more than 1 year. That's good. And, the next one that you see is Imagine Learning. And Imagine Learning is our Edgenuity online platform for our courses for our students to take credit recovery. That total cost for those is $41,250. And that's all site license 9th through 12th grade, whatever subject we need 9th through 12th grade. And it's a 1-year subscription. And the next purchase would be the 95% group, which is our core curriculum for our reading foundations. So it's our elementary. And so you'll see a quote per building, and it's got the consumables is what we're purchasing. So the things that kids used last year. So, and then the online platform, and then the professional development days. The total cost for 95% group. It's broken down by school, but I will let you know in just a moment. I don't think we have a total cost on there.
And how many, we're in a contract with them?
In 1 year, it's a 1 year.
Okay.
I'll get that for you in a second. So those are the curriculum purchases, and I do want to bring it to your attention that all these purchases will be made out of learning loss because they can be interventions as well.
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the curriculum resources with Renaissance, McGraw-Hill, Social Studies, Imagine Learning, and 95% group.
So moved.
Moved properly second, you ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it, thank you.
The next item that I would ask for purchase is, if you recall last year, we used safety grant money and purchased a clear backpack for every student in the district. And so I would like to recommend that we do that again. However, we have found, like last year we did go with local, and the backpacks were fine. We did have some that broke and we replaced those, but we found a company though that would give us the same backpack but also include school supplies as part of it. So for elementary and for secondary, and it's still cheaper than anyone local as well. So to buy 3,200 backpacks that have elementary and secondary supplies in it, the total cost, and I've included that a little bit differently, but the total cost is $45,228. And we'll use grant money to pay for it, and that would provide supplies, and not all the supplies, but a handful of supplies, highlighters, pencils, pens. That'll buy that in a backpack for all students in the district.
How will they be distributed?
By the principals. That's what we did last year. We got them in, and so that first week of school, we made sure that the buildings had their boxes, and they distributed them that first week of school.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve the purchase of 3,200 clear backpacks for students.
Second.
Been moved properly second, ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it.
And this approval I'm seeking, and I don't know if you're familiar, we did this last year, something that we're common with. So CARC and Tomball School District, along with the other districts here, we partner for career coaches. We currently have 3 career coaches, 2 at the high school and 1 at the junior high. And so we do not pay their whole salary. We pay half the salary for each of the career coach, and CARC pays the other half of the salary. And so for our 3 career coaches, and our coaches are on a 12-month contract, and that's what they've always been on. We use them in the summer, and now summer looks a little different, but they'll still be on contract, and they work with the building principals and the students on making sure all their things are taken care of for student success plans and things like that. And so for our 3 career coaches, it's $88,050 with the co-op. Not the co-op, forgive me, CARC.
All right, at this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve CARC MOU for 3 career coaches. Second, okay. Moving to private second, are there any questions or discussions?
I just have one question. What grade did they go? 10, 11, 12, or did they go 7?
one that's 7, 8, 9, and then we have two that are 10, 11, 12. Now, they work in collaboration with each other, but we serve, our career coaches serve 7 through 12.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye for me, all opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. All right, at this time, we're going to go into executive session to discuss personnel. We can ask our audience to exit the room. We appreciate that. Directors, please also take this opportunity to refresh yourself.